Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. So this is taken from a solo game, not a double up game. This is a normal game, just me trying to continue filling out the rest of the battle pass here. And in this game we're going to be looking at an Inkborn team composition, a team that's going to play into the Inkborn trait and also play into Kaisa. I've seen featured her in another video, but I don't believe that the Inkborn or Inkshadow. Is it Inkborn or Inkshadow? I think it's Inkshadow. I think the set is Inkborn Fables, and then the trait is Inkshadow. I don't think that I played as heavily into the Inkshadow trait in that other game. All right, so I was hoping that we would get component anvils because that has the least influence upon the game. Instead, we get champion conference. So this portal gives you a unit that fits your team composition at the start of each stage, not each round, each stage. So stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, you will get a champion that is tailored to fit your team composition. So if you know this is coming, you can plan your team around it. I don't especially like this one because it makes it a little bit too easy to play vertical traits and rush level 9. Because you know that you're guaranteed to get 4 and 5 cost units if you're running a particular vertical trait. So, for example, if you're running Faded, like let's say you're running 5 Faded, 7 Faded, you can know that you're going to get a set to drop from this particular augment or for this particular portal. So it's just guaranteed to start showing up. You get a you get a champion whose cost is equal to the round, basically. So you get a 2 cost on stage 2, a 3 cost on stage 3, a 4 cost on stage 4, 5 cost on stage 5, and another 5 cost on stage 6 and 7 if it would happen to get that far. So as I said, I don't really love this portal. It's pretty distorting in terms of how the game plays out, but you know, that's kind of how things are. Don't really have a choice, just have to make do. But that is going to have a very big effect on how this lobby plays out. So just keep in mind that we do have this free champion tailored to your board portal because that is actually going to influence this game. Okay, so I wasn't quite sure what to play here. I was trying to decide between, do I want to play another Dryad Reaper board, which is what I think I featured in the last video I put up on YouTube. It's very popular. It's been strong for like the last patch or so. And it's still quite popular here. I was trying to figure out, do I want to play that, or do I want to look to play into more of a Kaisa or Senna board? So I'm looking at the different options here. I've actually never taken Prize Fighter, but I'm actually kind of glad I didn't take Prize Fighter because I actually did not do particularly well in the early stages of this game. Every 3 wins gives you an item component. I was looking at the different options. Boiling Pot would be nice. Porcelain is very strong in this particular set, but I just don't have any porcelain units here. And I didn't feel like I had the right setup for it. I didn't feel like my items were right for that either. So that was certainly one potential option. I'm actually glad I didn't take that option either because as it turns out, Porcelain is extremely popular in this patch and it's going to be heavily contested in this particular game. So instead, I have taken the option that gives me an Inkshadow Crest and it's also given me a Senna. So I'm going to look to put the Senna on the board right now. And Senna is going to need to be the unit that I play through here in the early game. Now, here is the problem. I don't have any other Inkshadow units. So even with the Inkshadow Crest, I still can't get Inkshadow trait in. I don't have any, do not have any Jaxes. I don't have any Aatroxes. Those are the other early Inkshadow units. I don't have any Volibears either, although that's a little bit less likely that I would see that unit. So I really am getting nothing from my augment thus far. It gives me an Inkshadow emblem that does not even put the trait in play, and that's not particularly good here. So this is going to be a bit of a rough early game because I'm opting into this. I also felt kind of bad. I was maybe going to play, like I said, the Dryad Reaper board, and I actually have 2 out of 3 Kindreds here because the game gave me a Kindred from this portal. And remember I mentioned it's tailored to your board, and it's all I had Dryad trait in, so it gave me a Kindred here. But I looked around the lobby, and I just saw this was going to be heavily, heavily contested, whereas this Inkshadow board did not look like anyone was going to play Senna or Kaisa in this game. So I'm like, all right, I'll go ahead and sell these. This really doesn't feel good to do this, but I'll go ahead and sell these. I'll raise some econ here. I'll put in the Shen for right now, although Shen is not really the unit that I want for this board either. And then I might as well slap that Inkshadow emblem on Rek'Sai because it does provide 150 health, which is not nothing. But as I said, this is not really what I'm looking for either. What I want to play with this board is typically want to play Bruisers with this board. Most of the time when you're looking to play Kaisa, you're looking to play into Bruisers, because that's where the synergy is. You have Aatrox, who is both an Inkshadow unit and also a bruiser. And then in addition, you can play units like Galio and what's his name, and Silas. And you can also play with Riven, and then it's typically easier to get Storyweaver in as well. Like you can get Storyweaver in plus 4 Bruisers, and you can also play with Kaisa and hopefully get at least Inkshadow 3 in. This game's going to go a little bit differently than that because it's going to play heavier into the Inkshadow trait and a little bit less heavily into Bruisers. And not playing into Storyweaver at all, as it turns out. So a little bit different from what I've done in some of these other games. I think I had one other game featuring Kaisa that went I think I went 6 Bruisers in that game and had Storyweaver trait in. So it's going to be a little bit different. As I said, we're going to be emphasizing Inkshadow trait in this game. So the good news is I was able to find an Aatrox. That's going to give me a little bit more frontline. I also have to readjust. If I'm going to play Shen, I should put units next to the Shen because Shen provides additional benefits to units that stand next to him in combat. Provides that little dodge zone that helps out the unit standing next to him. So Aatrox gets Bruiser trait in, also gets Ghostly trait in with the Shen. Again, Shen really doesn't belong on this board, but he does give me Ghostly trait, and he's a decent frontliner. Still, this is not going well, and again, you can see why. I don't have any 2-star units. That board had 3 2-star units and had Kale. So 5 units to my 4, 3 2-stars to my 0 2-stars. That's not likely to go very well, and indeed it didn't go very well. So I am on full loss streak here, which is not my goal. I didn't want to be full loss streak here, but I didn't really have that much of a choice. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take this because the Senna, at least I do get first pick on the carousel. The Senna on carousel does a couple of different things for me. Number one, it just gives me another Senna, which is going to be nice. It also gives me some components that I can use. It's going to give me a bow. The bow allows me to kill this rod and make a Rage Blade, which is a good item on Senna, although it's not a good item on Kaisa. But I am going to go ahead and just use the bow to kill this rod that otherwise I have no use for whatsoever. This is not a team composition that does anything with magic damage, so I really do not need that rod. But it lets me make the Rage Blade, and then it also lets me make the Gargoyle Stone Blade, as my past self helpfully does here. So now I just need to make that Rage Blade. I almost put it on the Senna on the bench, which would have been bad. But we'll go ahead and put that on the Senna there, and also level so we can get Kog'Maw in play. Now you might say, why not just stay at level 4, right? Like, just stay at level 4. You're on a loss streak. There's not really any point to leveling here. Well, the reason why I want to level is I want to increase my odds of seeing the more expensive units. I don't really want to see 1-cost units. There's no 1-cost units I want to play in this team composition. I want to get to higher levels where I have a better chance to see the stronger units, and that is going to make it so I have a little bit less econ, but I'm also hoping that this will help me preserve some health as well. I've already lost 13 HP. I don't want to lose too much HP in this game, so even if I keep losing rounds, I want to kill at least some units here. Can Cog kill this Yorick over there? Okay, he did manage to kill the Yorick, so it's a loss, but at least it's not a bad loss. I only lose, I was on 87 and I lost 4 HP to get to 83, so by killing, by killing more of those units, I was able to preserve a little bit of extra health. I think if I had not leveled and played the Cog, I would not have been able to kill some of those units there. I think I killed like an extra unit or 2 at the end. So anyway, that's my logic there. You could say, well, it would be better just to play more heavily into econ, and that certainly could be the case. But that was what I was thinking, at least, in order to explain my logic. I am getting a little bit unlucky here in terms of what I'm seeing. Note that I'm playing 5 units, and I have 4 pairs. So I have Senna pair, I have Kog'Maw pair, I have Shen pair, and I have, Rek'Sai pair, although Rek'Sai is going to come out of this board and is not terribly important. That's a lot of pairs to have. When you're only playing 5 units and 4 of them are paired on the bench, it means you're getting a little bit unlucky in terms of what you're playing here. So I do have pretty good trait synergy here. 3 Inkshadow, 2 Bruiser, 2 Ghostly, 2 Sniper. I mean, that's not bad in terms of traits. The problem is, again, just that all my units are 1-star. That is really the issue here. If I had like a 2-star Shen and a 2-star Senna, I'd actually be in pretty good shape in terms of like trying to win streak here. Anyway, I'm up against one of the people who's playing Kindred in this lobby, and I'm going to lose that, but it is a perfect loss. I only lose, 3 health? Because there's only 1 unit left on the enemy team, and it's probably good that I lost that round to keep a loss streak intact going into the minion round. It's probably good that that happened. Anyway, I will finally get my first 2 stars. I pick up the Kog'Maw. I'm also going to pick up the Jax because I might be able to play more heavily into Inkshadow trait here. And now that we've got a minion round, it's actually a good time to cover what Inkshadow trait does. So I'll read the formal description here. Inkshadow, gain unique Inkshadow items. Inkshadow champions gain 5% bonus damage and damage reduction, with which Inkshadow items you get change from game to game. So you get an additional item at Inkshadow 3, 5, and 7. And then you also gain additional bonus damage and damage reduction. You do need to get an Inkshadow emblem to play Inkshadow 7, but some of the Inkshadow units are pretty early game and are not really worth playing in the late game. So like, I don't really want to run Jax in the late game. I'd probably rather run Inkshadow 5 and play better units than try to run Inkshadow 7, but we'll have to see. All right, a little bit more luck here. I am going to go ahead and hit the Aatrox, or the Shen 2-star. I also hit an Aatrox. And now what happens, remember, we have that portal that gives us a unit that fits our bench in every single, at the start of every single stage. So it is stage 3, we get a 3-cost unit, and because I'm playing Inkshadow more than any other trait, I have 3 Inkshadow, 2 Bruiser, 2 Ghostly, 2 Sniper, it gives me a 3-cost Inkshadow unit, which is Volibear. He's the only 3-cost Inkshadow unit. So I knew that I would get the Volibear there, and I'm going to hold on to it because I would like to get up to 5 Inkshadow here. I grabbed the Kaboko because I thought maybe I'd play him for 4 Bruisers, but then I was like, no, actually what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to look to play into 5 Inkshadow next, so there's no way Kaboko ever goes on this board. I would prefer to play 5 Inkshadow instead and get the extra item and get a little bit more stats for Inkshadow units. All right, so Shen tanks a little bit longer, and I'm going to be able to kill a few more units here. So Senna is barely still alive, and we're actually going to kill everything except the Yorick. So it's another perfect loss. I kill every single unit except the Yorick, and I'm actually on a full loss streak here, 6 rounds, which again is not what I want, but at least I have preserved some health here by having close losses instead of just getting blown out in these rounds. Anyway, I'm looking at the options here. We do have a Prismatic Augment. The Ghostly Crown is tempting, but I would take the Ghostly Crown if I was looking to play into vertical Ghostly, which is not my goal in this game. Because I have the Inkshadow emblem, I'm trying to power level here, and getting the +1 unit is actually pretty nice because it allows me to just play the Jax with the +1 unit and then level and play the Volibear, and that's going to put Inkshadow 5 in play. So let me cover the 2 different Inkshadow items that I've gotten thus far. Again, I do not know all of these off the top of my head, so I do have to look these up when it comes time to playing these. I'm going to pull the information here for the Inkshadow items, and let me see if I can find what they do here. All right, here we go. So the first one I got is Tattoo of Toxin. That's the one that Senna has right now. Damage applies a toxin that adds an additional 33% of that damage over 3 seconds and also wounds the target. So it provides a true damage burn that applies damage over time, and then it's also a healing debuff. So again, pretty nice. Not a bad item. Definitely something you can put on a damage dealer, and it also has some additional stats on it too. The one that Shen has is a tank item. This one is Tattoo of Vitality. Attacks heal the holder for 3% of their max health and deal the same amount as bonus magic damage. So it's not quite the right thing for a tanky bruiser like Shen. By the way, again, another loss, but again, almost a perfect loss. That Soraka was barely alive with no HP. So this is not quite the right item for Shen, but it would be a really good item if I could put it on like Udyr later on. You kind of want it on like a tanky bruiser would be the ideal person to put this on. So I don't really have anyone that can do that now. I guess maybe Volibear. I think it's best on the Shen for the moment, but I can always adjust later on because I think Shen's going to get sold. All right, we get a Silver Augment here, and I'm going to opt to take Rolling for Days as my option here. I could have taken the extra duplicators. That's what I would have taken if I was going to go for Senna 3-star, but I don't think I want Senna 3-star. I think that I want to push to level 8 and then use these 9 free rerolls and then use them to try to hit Kaisa. And the reason for that is I've looked at this lobby, and I don't think anyone is playing Kaisa here. I've looked at all the boards. There's a lot of people playing that Ashe plus Azir board that's gotten very strong. You play Invokers plus Porcelain. It's very, very popular. And then there's some other people playing. One person's playing Vertical Umbral, which is kind of interesting. This person's playing a Reaper Dryad board, I believe, from what I think. Although this person, it is a ghost round because someone bizarrely quit the lobby here. But yeah, they're playing some kind of Reaper board. People playing Reaper and Dryad's also popular. That's has been performing really well in this patch. But I've been looking around. No one looks like they're going to play Kaisa. And oh, lo and behold, what do we have here? Well, there's a Kaisa on this carousel, and she even has a sword, which is a good item. You know, it's one of the best items you'd want to put on Kaisa. Most of the items she wants build out of swords. So I was like, okay, I will take the Kaisa. And this is the advantage of having lost all those rounds, is I do have carousel priority. Again, I would rather have more health. I would trade some of this carousel priority for having like 30 additional health right now. But since I do have carousel priority, let's go ahead and look to play the Kaisa. This means I can just take out Jax, who's doing nothing except giving me Inkshadow, and I'll play Kaisa, and she can just go straight onto the board as another one of these units. So here we go. We maintain the 5 Inkshadow. Tattoo of Vitality I'll put back on the Shen. Again, Shen's not really the right user for this, but he can make use of it for the time being. And now we have another damage dealer aside from the Senna. So with 2-star Senna and with an early Kaisa on the board, plus my front line is now mostly 2-starred. I have the 2-star Aatrox, the 2-star Shen. I'm still looking to get Shen out of this team composition, by the way, but he can hold items for now. Now I'm actually reasonably strong, so I'm hoping that I can now flip from this loss streak into a potential win streak here, because I do think my board is not that bad. And this is a good challenge of it, too. Excuse me, because now I'm up against the person who's win streaking in the lobby. This person's only lost 1 round the entire game, and they are win streaking. But getting that early Kaisa really, really has helped my board. That and hitting the 2-star Senna has made a big difference here. So frontline does go down, but I've still got the Kaisa, I still have the Senna, and they are going to burst this down and end that person's win streak, which is a pretty big deal. This person is clearly trying to play the Porcelain Ashe plus Lilia plus Azir combo, which has been all the rage right now. But I'm very happy to beat them and knock them down to, what? I didn't really do that much damage, but it did end their win streak, which is a big deal. Now I've also found a Silas here, and I'm pretty happy with getting the Silas because that's going to make it easier to play towards 4 Bruisers. So I'm definitely a little bit lucky here. I hit the Silas on 5% odds, and Silas, I would love to get in. In fact, I would put him in for Riven if I hadn't already put the Inkshadow emblem on Riven. But he can just go in on the next level up, and I'm going to try to work my way to 4 Bruisers. I'm thinking right now 5 Inkshadow, 4 Bruisers, I think would be pretty good here. And then I can transfer maybe some of these tank items that are on Shen, who's literally only providing Ghostly trait, maybe over to the Silas. The Inkshadow emblem that's on the front line there, what is it called again? It's Tattoo of Vitality. That's actually not a bad Silas item either, because it gives him additional health, gives him some armor and magic resistance, and also gives him life on hit. What is it? I think it's 3% of max HP on each hit. Yeah, 3% of max health and deals bonus magic damage, because Silas is like tanky plus AP carry. He's not really a pure tank. He's also kind of like a hybrid damage dealer. He's like half tank, half magic damage dealer. So he actually would make pretty good use of this. All right, there's another Shen in the store. There's another Aatrox. But again, I'm not trying to 3-star these units, so I don't really care about that. Again, I'm just going to keep pushing towards level 8. And then on level 8, what I want to do is try to use my free rerolls, because remember, I get 9 free rerolls on level 8. And then see if we can make our board there and go from there. Now remember, we also have that portal from the beginning of the game that's going to give us a unit tailored to our board. And on stage 4, it's going to be a 4-cost unit. So that means I'm actually guaranteed to get a Kaisa here from this next round. Whoop! There she is, popping up out of the portal. So now I have 2 out of 3 Kaisas right now. It's like, okay, that's pretty good. And I ended up getting a sword and another bow here. So I was like, you know, I think I'm just going to make Deathblade plus Red Buff here. These are not quite the traditional items that you would get for Kaisa. Typically, Kaisa, you want to get Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, and then something that causes her to cast faster. People often like to put a Spear of Shojin on her. She really wants some kind of armor shred item because she spends a lot of time shooting at the front line on the enemy team. So like some kind of Last Whisper, or in this case, since we don't have a Last Whisper, if we could potentially make like an Evan Shroud for the front row so that we could get some armor shred going. Those are all typically things that you'd want to get. But, you know, you got to make use of the items you get here. And I thought that it would make sense to just make the Deathblade and then make the, Make the Red Buff, because they're still pretty good items on Kaisa. They might not be best in slot, but they're still pretty good. And what I can do is I'm going to sell the Senna later on. I can always, when I sell that Senna, I can always transfer over one of these 2 items, either the Tattoo of, whatever that one's called, Tattoo of Tattoo of Toxin. I could transfer that over, or I could just transfer over the Infinity Edge. Either one would be pretty good. And now I'm going to go to level 8. I'm going to use my rerolls here. I'm trying to play tempo here. I'm trying to accelerate the lobby. So I'm going to hit 2-star Volibear. I also get a replacement Senna. What I'm really, and also play Ash over Cog, because why not? But what I'm really looking for is that third Kaisa. I really want that last Kaisa, because that'll make such a big difference to my board if I can find it. And I do find it. Ah ha ha. And then, oh, hello. Those last 2 free rerolls are just enormous. I hit the 2-star Kaisa, and then I get a Lissandra and a Xayah in my store simultaneously at 3% odds. Are you kidding me? This is like the dream shot for my team. So think about how I've gotten the Kaisas in this game. I got one off Carousel. I got one off the portal that we had that gives us a unit that's guaranteed to fit our board. And then I used the 8 free rerolls to get me the third Kaisa. So again, I do feel like the ridiculous randomness of this set and the stupid encounters. Oh, and by the way, now we get 4 more free rerolls, but I'm not going to use them here. I'm going to save them until I get to level 9 and then use them there. All right, so I'm going to take the Ornn off my board. We'll get that off the board, and let's get this Xayah on the board because she's going to give us the trick shot trait. And then let's get the Lissandra on the board because Lissandra's just really strong in this set. And I actually decide, you know what? Let's take the Shen off the board, and I can just put in the Silas. I can just move these tank items over to the Silas, and then we'll get Ash back in. That gets Porcelain trait in play, and I'll just put my tank items on Silas for right now because I don't think that they're bad on Silas. Like I said, this is maybe not quite the most perfect items on Silas. I think ideally you'd want maybe like a Titans and Titans and maybe like a Crown Guard. I'd have to look up exactly what his best itemization is. Again, he's like tanky plus AP, but he also is kind of like an off carry as well. He's not a pure tank, as I said. But like these items are not going to be bad on Silas, even though he's a 1-star. And I think that my board spiked really hard over the course of these rounds here because I have Sniper trait in, I have Trick Shot trait in, I've got Lissandra here. I'm hoping she can print me some early items. That would be really nice if she could print me a few items here by getting her in super duper early. It's just very strong for my board. So again, I lost the first 6 rounds of the game, and now I've won the next 6 rounds. So I've just flipped this over completely. Or I lost the first 7 and then won the next 6. So this is like win streaking, loss streaking in a perfect method. Exactly what I would want here. Just the way that I would want to draw this up if I could. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is playing out, even though it is highlighting some of the more ridiculous RNG aspects of being in set 11 here. Okay, time for another carousel. I'm actually first in health here, which is just ridiculous. So that does mean I'm going to have kind of not the greatest priority, and I end up getting stuck with a tier, which I don't really want here. If I had held on to those swords, I could have maybe made a Shojin for Kaisa here. But again, I'm reasonably happy with Kaisa's items. What I will do, though, is I will sell and replace the Senna so I can move some of these items around. I move the Tattoo of Toxin over to Kaisa, and then I'm going to move the other items over to Xayah. And these are actually pretty good items for Xayah. Xayah actually does want a Rage Blade, unlike Kaisa, who doesn't really want a Rage Blade. Xayah actually does. And then, of course, the Infinity Edge is great just in general to have on any AD user. So I'm pretty happy with how this is playing out. Like I said, if I can just 2-star my front line a little bit more, if I could hit another Silas to finish 2-starring my front line, that would be great. I'm going to look to go to level 9 here, and I'll use those rerolls that I have. Another 4 rerolls. Thank you, random RNG in this set. I'll use those additional free rerolls when I hit level 9. And guess what? I know that I'm going to get Udyr on level 9. He's guaranteed to appear at the start of the next stage because we're going to go to stage 5. We were guaranteed to get an Inkshadow unit, and Udyr is the 5-cost Inkshadow unit, so he is guaranteed to show up. Plus, I still have a champion duplicator here, so if I could see another Lissandra, maybe I could duplicate the Lissandra for Lissandra 2-star. If I'm having trouble hitting Udyr's, maybe I can get Udyr 2-star. I already have one Xayah. Maybe I can hit another. If I get another Xayah, maybe I could duplicate that. So I'm just really happy with how I played the econ side of this game. I had the big loss streak, which I wasn't deliberately trying to do, but did have some very close losses, which were good losses. Then I've been able to go on the big win streak. I think that I used the free rerolls just about perfectly here. The 9 rerolls that came from my silver augment, pushing to an early level 8, using the rerolls before other people had gone 8 and taken units out of the pool, and then using that to hit the very, very early Kaisa 2-star, which has carried me all through stage 4. So, like I said, some good RNG at times going on in this game, but also me taking advantage of the resources that are in this set. Now, I knew I was going to be up against this particular player here, so I shifted my board over here so that Lysandra would definitely use her ult on either the Kayn or the Yone. I wasn't exactly sure which one she was going to put in the tea kettle, but I knew she would get one of them, and that's what I was looking for. It's very important to win this round because we're going into a minion stage, and I want to carry that win streak over so that I'll get the extra income. So I did take myself all the way down to 0 gold at the start of stage 4 because I used my free rerolls and went all the way down to 0 gold buying units, but I've been able to use the rest of stage 4 win streaking to build my econ right back again, and then now we'll be able to go level 9. So then I can look to drop the volley and go from there. This does also mean that I can probably look to drop Jax that's on my bench. If you're wondering why am I holding the Jax, it's because if I would get an Inkshadow emblem somehow, maybe on a carousel or something, then in that case I would look to play 7 Inkshadow. But it's not worth playing it unless I can get an emblem. And for that reason, I'll just hold a Volibear on my bench in case I would happen to see that. I'm not expecting that to happen, but in case it would happen, I want to be prepared to be able to play the 7 Inkshadow because it is quite strong. It's just very hard to hit. All right, so we've got some more emblems here. There's another Xayah, and there's the Udyr right on schedule. So we'll definitely play the Udyr. That's very nice indeed. So we'll put that in. And now I'm going to start getting ready to go to level 9. And oof, this is not quite what I wanted here. I was kind of hoping for some way to use these tiers. I really don't have a good way to use these tiers right now. I was hoping maybe a sword. Like if I could get a sword, then maybe I could somehow get a Shojin on Kaisa eventually, but that's not an option. So I'll go ahead and just put these on Lysandra for lack of anything else. And then I have this extra tier here, so I was like, I guess I might as well make an adaptive helm. It's not really what I want, but it's kind of what I have left over. I mean, I guess I could get some more components if Lysandra is able to print them, so it is possible I could get more components here. I was kind of maybe hoping I could make an Evan Shroud there. Maybe I can't remember if I had Belt as an option. Maybe I could have made one by taking Belt from the item drop there. But anyway, that doesn't happen. And I thought, by the way, I would actually win this round, but I ended up losing it. And I think the reason why is my front line is still a little bit sketchy here. Just need a little bit more front line. So I will go ahead and go to level 9 because it's only 24 more gold. So I'm really looking for a Galio right here. I can play Ornn for lack of anything else. And I think I do put him on the board again for lack of anything else. He makes Behemoth trait, which is not terrible, but I think 4 Bruisers would be better here. And by the way, there's more Volleys, but I do not need Volley 3-star. And all right, there we go. So there's Galio. That gets me to the 4 Bruisers. I'm definitely happy playing that. And so I think that this is my board for right now. And there we go. We're actually going to hit the 2-star Silas. So I think a lot of these items might be a little bit better on Galio than on the Silas. And by the way, do I make the adaptive helm here? I can't remember if I make it here or not. I think that I do eventually make this. I think that some of these items might be a little bit better on Galio in theory than on Silas because, as I said, Silas is not quite as tanky as some of these other units. And by the way, my board just kind of got cleaned up here by this person's Umbral board. I was kind of surprised. The Elune 3-star just kind of annihilated my backline there. I kind of thought I'd be winning these rounds after I went to level 9, but no, apparently not. Apparently not. I think that I think my biggest issue is I don't have any armor shred for the front line, which is kind of a problem when you're playing Kaisa. But anyway, it is what it is. And I did end up losing that round. Anyway, though, here we get another encounter, and the option is Magnetic Remover with infinite uses or 5 gold. It's like, well, 5 gold, not bad, but I'll definitely take the item user with infinite uses. So now I can shift items around as much as I want to from unit to unit. So I was thinking maybe if I hit like a 2-star Udyr, I might shift some of these units over to Udyr. Also, by the way, I'm on 6 Kaisas and I have a duplicator. So I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's a lot of Kaisas here. I only need, 2 more, and I have Kaisa 3-star. So okay. Let's just hold on here. No one's playing Kaisa in this lobby, so yes, I will continue grabbing them and see if I'm lucky enough to hit. Now this person actually has a 2-star Lysandra with like pretty crazy itemization over there. So I was like, oh, that's not good. Lysandra's very strong in this particular patch, so she is going to cut through my front lines. Can we manage to take down that Lysandra? She's quite low on HP. All right, we are going to take her down, and this round's very close. Can I manage to win this one? Looks like Zaya has it, though. There we go. All right, so another close round. I certainly would like to get that person out of the lobby, so maybe I can find some more Lissandras. I would love to have some additional Lissandras, because I've actually itemized her quite a bit here. All right, well, it's time for the carousel, and I would very much like to start getting items for, like, Udyr here. I think that would be pretty good. So, like, the Titans would be nice. The Bloodthirster would be very nice as well, but of course, they all get grabbed. Granted, they were on the 5-cost units, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I was like, all right, well, if I can't get an item for Udyr, I mean, I guess I could have taken the Dragon's Cloak, and actually that might not have been bad. Now that I have the infinite item removers, or maybe I could, you know what I could have done? I could have taken the Dragon's Cloak, popped the items off Silas, and then maybe I could have put the adaptive helm on Lissandra. So I end up taking the Jeweled Gauntlet here, but I don't know that the Jeweled Gauntlet is really correct. I kind of need more items for my frontline. Like, I have enough damage items here. What I need is more frontline, so my guys don't just die in these fights. So in retrospect, that's probably a mistake. Probably should have taken the Dragon's Claw. And like I said, the adaptive helm could have gone on Lissandra anyway for more mana generation. Could have moved Lissandra back to the 3rd row. And then put the Dragon's Claw on Udyr. I also could move some of these items over to Galio, because Galio is a better tank than the Silas right now. Anyway, if you're wondering what I'm doing in these rounds, I am spending a lot of time scouting the other boards. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to position it so Lissandra hits a key unit on the enemy team in each fight. And this round, I wanted her to get the Lee Sin into the little kettle. And she actually does do it, but then unfortunately Lee goes down to like 10% health but manages to survive, which is not what I was looking for at all. And as it turns out, Lee is actually going to survive, I believe, the entire fight. Does he end up surviving? Yeah, he ended up surviving the entire fight because he managed to drop aggression there. So that was a little bit frustrating. As I said, I thought that I'd be able to get that, but no, I was not able to. Anyway, then another Kaisa pops up in the store. So now I'm on 7. I'm like, geez, I only need one more Kaisa to hit Kaisa 3-star here because I have that duplicator sitting there. So I'm hoping I can win this round here right before the minion round. I actually kind of thought I'd be winning here on stage 5, but no, I'm actually not winning here on stage 5. And I do think it's because my itemization's a little bit wonky here. The Kaisa items are not bad, but they're definitely not best in slot. And in particular, that Tattoo of Toxin that's on her really would probably be better placed on somebody else. I think it might have been better placed on Zaya because Kaisa kind of does a lot of burst damage. So like a damage over time effect is not really that great on Kaisa. It's not quite the right item. I think it would have been better to put that on Zaya. And then maybe put the Infinity Edge on Kaisa just so her damage could crit. So, yeah, my board seems to be falling off here, which is, again, a little bit surprising. But I guess I do still have a number of 1-stars. I think it's partly an issue of, as I said, itemization not being quite right. But then also, I need more tank items for my frontline. I'm really lacking in frontline in this game. So, by the way, I see this, and I'm like, I just want more gold to roll with. So I'm going to sell the Volibear. I don't think I'm going to get an Inkshadow emblem for Inkshadow 7. I'm just going to sell the Voli 2-star so I have more gold to roll. And you see I'm actually going to move some of these items over to the Galio right now. And including the Tattoo of Vitality because it just gives him more health. It makes him a little tankier. I might move that to Udyr, but I think I need him to be 2-starred before that's going to be viable to move that over there. Now, again, I am guaranteed to get an Udyr here because it's stage 6, so I'm guaranteed to get an Udyr. So we'll roll for this. And there's another Kaisa, so I have it. I have the Kaisa 3-star. But before I use my duplicator, I might as well go for the Kaisa and see if I hit it naturally. And I do! Okay, let's go. All right, so now it's time to grab another item here. And I was like, I really want frontline here, but I don't really have it. Maybe I should have taken the Crown Guard, but again, I've got the duplicator, so I was like, all right, well, I have a fully itemized Zaya, so I'll duplicate her. And I know I'm guaranteed to get another Udyr if this would ever go to stage 7. Plus, people are not playing Udyr, so I think I have pretty good odds to hit one more Udyr. And then the Lissandra, I don't know about the Lissandra, but she's not fully itemized, and she also dies pretty fast in the fight. So I do think it was correct to use the Champion Duplicator on these Zayas. Well, anyway, now I have 3-star Kaisa, so okay, now we just start winning. And of course, I hit this person, Fasho, who unfortunately has to hit me on the very first round that I hit Kaisa 3-star, so oops. And that person's pretty mad. And by the way, there's Udyr anyway. So now here we go. So you see, I'm going to type sorry. I clicked on my carry when it was in the shop. But I actually did not end up typing that because this person's feeling bad enough. I don't need to make them feel any worse off. Anyway, I have hit now the 2-star Udyr, so I do have the chance to move some items around. I believe I moved the Tattoo of okay. I thought about moving the Tattoo of Vitality over to him, but I guess I decided not to do so because he didn't have any other items. All right, so Kai'Sa 3-star. We just auto win all rounds, right? Right? Well, I was fiddling with my items that round, and I did not spend any time scouting the enemy board. And look what happens. Lysandra dies before she gets a cast off. And as it turns out, the Kai'Sa's getting jumped on and pile drive by the 2-star Set over there. And whoa, that's not good. Kai'Sa actually dies. The 3-star Kai'Sa's actually down. The only unit that's left alive is Xayah. And oh, am I dead? Oh my god, I'm on 1 HP. I'm on 1 HP. The Xayah managed to kill 2 units literally at the last second right before she was about to die. Or else I'm just out of the lobby and that's that. And I'm dead, even though I have the 3-star Kai'Sa. So it's like, okay, even though you have the 3-star Kai'Sa, you are not invincible, buddy. You can still lose rounds. She does not have any healing on her. So she absolutely can still lose some of these rounds here. So what I need to do now is I need to be much more diligent about my scouting. There are only 4 of us in the lobby, so we have perfect knowledge on who we're going to hit in the next round. So I need to be absolutely sure that Kai'Sa does not get jumped on. I need to get Lysandra ulting a key target on the enemy board. In that last fight, she died before she even got her ult off. And Kai'Sa clearly needs to be placed at the sides of the board where she's a little bit safer. So I'm going to put her on one side, and I'm going to put the Xayah on the other side. But I have lost all margin for error. If I lose one more round, obviously the game is over because I'm on 1 HP. So I definitely have to be careful here. And as it turns out, pretty much everything is dead except Xayah 3-star. Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. Knock that person down to 1 HP. But that was closer than I would have liked. As, by the way, this other player gets knocked out and is not very pleased about it. Now, there is the option here to try to take the spatula here. By the way, I really wanted that Protector's Vow because I'm still trying to take frontline items here. Could take the spatula and try to make a Inkshadow emblem. It is a craftable emblem, but I don't think that I have the right item component for it. What is the item component that this builds out of? I actually don't remember. So Inkshadow. Actually, is this craftable? Actually, it's not craftable. Never mind. So there was no reason going for that anyway. Yeah, there would not have been any point. I could have made a Umbral emblem, which, I mean, okay, I guess I could have made Umbral too with the glove that I have on my bench, but that didn't feel too worthwhile. So anyway, I really wanted to get a tank item. I wasn't quite able to get a tank item, but the best I could do is take this Quicksilver Sash and put it on the Udyr. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to shift Udyr here, and the reason for that is I want Udyr next to Set, because Set's Pile Driver will not go off if he goes for Udyr, because Udyr has the Quicksilver Sash. Watch. He tries to pick him up, and did that work? I don't know quite what that interaction was, but I don't think Set can Pile Driver him if he has the Quicksilver Sash on. At least I think that's how it works. Anyway, this is the board that I lost to last time around. It's a very strong 6 Umbral board with 3-star Elune and 2-star Set up there on the front line. So very strong 6 Umbral board. Fortunately, though, that was a ghost round, and Kai'Sa did 14,000 damage. But I was able to put Kai'Sa over in the corner where she was a little bit safer. And then, oh, okay, Treasure Army that can be rolled up to 10 times. Okay. Now it's down to just me and this other player. So I was like, all right, I have an item. By the way, I really should have maybe taken the glove and made a Thief's Glove for somebody. I'm trying to get something that's not a carry item. I really want some tank items here, but I just can't find any tank items here. I was like, geez. Okay, fine. We finally get to the end of the rolling process, and I was like, all right, well, I got to take something, so I'll put the Death Cap on Lysandra. But again, I really, really wanted a tank item here. Now, what I should do is I should have popped off that item that I had, the what do you call it? The Inkshadow item. I should have popped off the Tattoo of Vitality and put it on Udyr right now, because he would definitely be a better user of that than the Galio. That would give him more healing, and that would also give him extra magic damage on his auto attack. So I really should have moved that over to Udyr, because it would have been a better item. I did win against this board in the Ghost round, so I kept my positioning the same. And it looks like the other player who's got the Umbral board did not adjust positioning this round, because once again, I had the Set going after Udyr with the Quicksilver Sash, so he couldn't be pile drivered. And all right, we're going to knock them down to 1 hit point remaining, or 1 life remaining as well, as we go to stage 7 here. Now, and by the way, I might as well pick up that Ash, because why not? And by the way, they're going to hit 2-star Yone, which is really a 3-star Yone. So I was like, Well, they've certainly done a great job with their board. They have the Umbral Augment. I don't remember what that one's called, and I don't have it in front of me right now. But they have the Umbral Augment that makes Umbral units stronger, 6 Umbral board, 3-star Yone, 3-star Elune, also has the 2-star set. Like they've built a very, very strong board and a very creative one too. Not a meta board. Vertical Umbral is not a meta board at all, but they've done a great job of playing into it in this game and being creative with it. All right, so I am trying to hit one more Lysandra here. I'm going to get another Udyr, but that doesn't help me now. So let's keep rolling here. Again, set, no. All right, 2-star Ashe, better than nothing. I really just want one more Lysandra. That's the only thing I'm looking for here. But it's not going to turn up. All right, so let's go ahead and grab an item. I was like, Steadfast Heart. Now, again, what I should do is I should move the Steadfast Heart over to Galio and then move the Tattoo item over to Udyr, but I don't have a lot of time to do that, and it's actually really important I position correctly in this fight. So what I'm going to do is I saw that Yone was being positioned on the left-hand side with Set. I'm going to swing the Kai'Sa and the Xayah over to the right-hand side, and that's actually more key than moving items around. Yes, I'd like to move the items, but positioning is what matters. Look at Kai'Sa. She's 100% safe. If she's over on the left-hand side, there's a decent chance I lose this round, but she is safe as can be over in the corner. Xayah's safe, Kai'Sa's safe, and that's going to lead to a pretty easy victory in this last round. So yeah, positioning really does matter, and in the last round of the game, positioning is more important than fiddling with items. So I managed to get into the safe spot back there in the corner, and that was enough to take this victory, which, again, I really should win the lobby if I have 3-star Kai'Sa. It was kind of stupid that I lost that one round. It was my own fault for not positioning correctly, but just goes to show, just because you have 3-star Kai'Sa does not mean you're invincible. Well, again, I won this lobby on 1 HP. Think about all those close fights, right? Remember all those fights where I just barely lost? If I had not killed those units, if I had taken one more point of damage in this game, I would not have won this game because I would have been knocked out of the lobby. So just remember, all these rounds do matter. And preserving health is an important skill because, hey, you never know when you're going to be 1 health away from being knocked out of the lobby, and a close loss does make a difference. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care, folks, and I'll see you again soon.